Do 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 do. How about the Lamborghini? You're like a bussin', oh so mean. You can't even see me. Got a couple goons that'll leave you bleeding. Backed up the line with your shorty, grab the main, cause you know we leaving. I spent some time with you, but it didn't mean what you think it means. Let me put it like this. A fuck is a fuck and a kiss is a kiss. Might feel like bliss, might feel like shit when your text gets missed. Don't stand there pissed. Told you what it was from the jump with this. You won't be missed. I got another dump in the trunk for this. I'm just high risk. Never meet your mama, got too much biz. My cell got switched. It's been a couple months since I seen you, kid. I'm over this, but I guess it's okay if we just stay friends. Well, I still hit. I don't know, baby, that just depends. Ah! Paul, why you like clickbaiting me with the titles? I don't try to clickbait anybody. I throw up the first thing that comes to my mind. Got a notification in a minute. Holy shit. Holy shit. I liked your remix bars there, Jareth. Heard those last night. Jareth did a little Psycho Gucci remix. Spit a hot 16 on it, you know what I mean? Showed me up a little bit. I remember I struggle with parts of that song, and Jareth just turns it on and fucking bangs it out. Oh, son of a bitch. What a son of a bitch. He's just like, let me let out a hot 16 on this real quick. I was thinking about what is art today. Would you say that your experience with the hawk that one day was art? My experience with the hawk. Art. No, I don't know, man. I don't know. I could turn that into art. You know, maybe perhaps me talking about it and opining about it rose to the level. I don't know. Thanks, Coolman. My auntie stopped working the moment you started streaming. Coincidence? I think not. Your internet. I thought you said your auntie. Art is, yeah. Art is. It's true. Auntie. Well, Paul's live again. I'm done for the night. Time for Auntie to quit working. What the fuck? What the fuck? Paul, do you think Derek Jensen should start an OnlyFans? Oh boy. It's gonna be a dumb fuck night tonight, isn't it? That's okay. We got bands enough for all of you. I got bands enough for all of you. What it do, Negan? Why are the sounds of birds at morning and evening so appealing? We talked about this, I think, a couple of months ago. I think this nature sound, this ambiance that we're hearing, minus the, noise pollution from machines, is something that's elemental to the human experience and the pre-human experience. I have to imagine our distant pre-human ancestors did the same thing. Sat in the forest, were comforted by the sounds of the animals around them. It's one of those very elemental things. It makes me feel grounded and connected to all of the beings that came before me. Listening to the birds tweet, listening to the crickets chirp, listening to the frogs. A million years ago, a distant ancestor of humanity sat, maybe, just like I'm sitting now, maybe not in the same place, and mused on the same thought, maybe not in the same way. How wonderful it is, how soothing and calming it must be. It opens your mind to the possibilities of your connectedness with those little creatures making that noise, and also a connectedness to your ancestors who sat and listened to that very self-same noise. It's a deep thing. It's a deeply ingrained thing in humanity. If you're the only animal making noise, then something's probably off, sure. Without bees, there are no flowers. Without flowers, there are no bees. It's all one organism, Alan Watts. It's an interesting concept. Yeah. From an extraplanetary scale, the diversity of life on this planet is just a footnote about it. Because if you think about it, the life that developed on this planet is unique to this planet. So it is all one organism. It is all dependent upon one another. Without the trees, we couldn't exist. Without us, there are thousands and thousands of species that would have suffered. There are thousands more that do suffer because of us. It's all one organism. It's all one breathing, living, pulsating, vibrating organism. Working in harmony. Isn't that great? It's a wonderful thing to think about. It's also kind of sad to think about. I love how Bill Hicks often ended his stand-up saying, "We are all the universe experiencing itself. There is no death." That's actually just that's not how he used to end his stand-up. That was just a joke that he wove in. Like, why do we always hear bad stories about drugs? Why don't we ever hear good drug stories? Like, Encino Man dropped acid today, figured out we are all one consciousness, experiencing itself subjectively. We're the eyes of the universe. Yeah, the big electron, yeah. We're the eyes and ears of the universe, and as far as we know, the only eyes and ears that it has. The only way for the universe to ponder itself. Think about that shit. I like talking about big existential ideas because it makes your problems feel very, very small. It makes whatever issues that you have in your life feel very, very small in comparison to the grand scope. And it's nice to feel small. Little train. Everything's okay, Mendacious C. How's everything with you? You know what? I'm gonna put out this cigarette. I feel like smoking a pipe instead. I'm gonna hook up a pipe. I'm gonna get a pipe loaded up in here. Do you have interesting dreams? Sometimes. Sometimes I do. The idea that humans are a virus is misleading. For thousands of years, humanity was like all other animals, and most people today aren't responsible for problems. They're a product of their environment. Sure. Hello, D. Nice vest. Yeah. What a nice vest you got. It's very handsome.
It's extra handsome today. He got baths.
Yeah, it's true. He got a bath.
Or a shower, I guess. It's funny, the second I put them away is when you start getting into it again.
What? I know. It's just, I don't know, dude. It's relaxing when it works.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling when it works. There we go. And that's the way it goes. Paul, you should watch Psycho Gorman. I mean, I probably won't remember that, Finn. Send me a fucking Twitter message. If you have, like, things you want me to watch, don't put them here. Because I'm never going to remember that shit. I wish DFF would do a trauma episode to teach the plebs what true independent cinema is. The problem with doing an episode on trauma, or really any kind of cinema, is you want to show clips. Like, not whole movies, but I want to show people clips from the Toxic Avenger and other trauma films and stuff. And, like, Trauma is very litigious with clips. We all watched Psycho Gorman at TJ's birthday party. Ah, cool. Well, if you're recommending, then I might take it a little more seriously. What you doing, Dee?
Just sitting, watching. Looking out for that kitty cat.
I don't think I'm recommending. There was not enough Psycho or Gorman. Oh, see? See? Chelsea got you guys slipping. Tricky question here, Paul. If we're the eyes and the ears of the universe, does that mean it's possible to have a good fender bender? Huh? Man, I was excited for that fucking question, and then it just... That's a nonsense question. God damn you. Oh, I know what's going on in the Ukraine. I know that Russia is building up military assets at the border of Ukraine, and we've said that we'll defend Ukraine. And yeah, it's World War III, always fucking looming around the goddamn corner. While that's going on, we saber rattle with China.
Like anyone saying it's not, it's like the U.S. is already considering backing out of the 2022 Beijing Olympics, which is normally like a opportunity for peace talks and shit.
Or at the very least to set aside nationalistic differences and celebrate something together as human beings. It's like the one good diplomatic reason for the existence of the Olympics is that it eases tensions between these countries as we come together, and the best of us at these athletic events compete with one another in a very sportsmanlike way. And, you know,
like South Korea is upset that North Korea backed out of the Tokyo Olympics. It's happening this year, so.
Well, there you go. Do you think that if the universe is conscious, it may be using humans as a bridge to self-sustaining AI and machinery? We would be put to rest as a species and did our part? I mean, I don't... That assumes a whole lot about the universe. But that assumes a whole lot about sentience in the universe. Figured out the way to do these Navy rolls is to get one of them started and then pack another one on top of it. Start that one, and then it's like a fucking engine. Just keeps going.
Let me get the torch. Are you doing okay?
I'm okay, thank you, though. It assumes a lot about humanity as well, yeah. I mean, humanity, we've talked about this a lot, but humanity has this deep-seated need for meaning. That's the problem of consciousness. I was listening a couple of nights ago to one of the chapters in The Conspiracy Against the Human Race by Thomas Ligotti, where it's a very evocative opening to the chapter, opening to the idea of pessimism, where it talks about at one point humans were indistinguishable from nature. We were part of nature. We did not question our space in nature. We didn't have the capacity to think about ourselves as something outside of nature. And then, over untold generations, little signs of this problem of consciousness started showing up in our species. Thomas Ligotti says we found ourselves standing around the cold, stiff bodies of dead members of our tribes, wondering what to do. And so we built these places far away from town where we would take the bodies so we wouldn't have to look at them anymore. But as time went on, more and more of those beings found themselves standing by those graves, not knowing why, not understanding why they were standing by those graves, sometimes even crying or weeping at those graves. It's because we had realized that we had a life of our own. We had become separate from nature, and we'd become our own little universe. We'd become our own. That's what consciousness did to our species. We'd become separate from everything else in nature. We'd become conscious of our own individual existences and lives and the finite nature of it. And that gave us this deep-seated desire to find meaning in everything. It has to mean something. We can't just be here to suffer and die. We can't just be here and live all of this life, hunt all of these animals, support this tribe for how many years, only to go stiff and die and be taken to the grave place.
Oh shit. God damn it. Can you put it down, please?
He's got a reverse sneeze. D, I saw that one go down. That's what happens when you eat a grass. Look at a dink.
Yep. You got some water?
Consciousness can probably be defined as the ability to think about consciousness. I don't know about that.
Get some water. Get some water.
Go on.
You don't have to feel guilty. You know it's not your fault.
Poor D.
It's okay.
TJ is about to stream. Are you two in competition? I stream all the fucking time. If TJ planned all his streams around my streams, there'd never be time for TJ to stream. You are more than welcome to go and watch TJ's stream if you'd like. It seems like a lot of people have chosen to do that, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Why would two creators streaming be competitive? People are just, I don't know, dude.
People don't understand what TJ and I do for a living. I love thinking about the problems of consciousness because I really do think they are at the root of all of our problems. Ishmael is basically a book about that. It doesn't necessarily explicitly mention it in the same way that Thomas Ligotti does, but it does make mention of humanity becoming separate from nature, superseding nature, and creating a narrative about nature that puts man at the center of it. Surely, like what Rust talked about it in True Detective, remember? Surely this must all be for me. All of this must be for me, I. Pardon me. Do you have any Grey Poupon? Pardon me, sir, but might you have any Grey Poupon? But of course. Do you remember those commercials? Or are you too young to remember those commercials?
Not really.
The Grey Poupon? Yeah, too young. With the strive for meaning things, with humans, we're never done. No matter what we accomplish, there's always a hunger still unsatisfied, right? Because we're trying to unsatisfy something that's unsatisfiable. Thanks for the $5, Zach. I was too poor, so ignored. Did I miss your...
No, I think they ignored the Grey Poupon.
Oh. Maybe. I don't know. Any thoughts on meta-modernism? No. Not really. There's a YouTube emoji. Gross. Or there be a YouTube emoji. Fucking gross. Oh, my video on YouTube broke 500 views in 3 days. Whoa! Congrats. Good for you, buddy. Good for you, buddy. Woof. Man, this chat is fucking cancer tonight. Woo. Maybe I'm helping TJ out. I'm drawing all the cancer away from his stream. Maybe he's over there having a great stream. Here I sit, a broken-hearted, tried to shit and only farted. There were a lot of right-wing trolls in his last stream. Will Derek Chauvin get off? Probably. It's typically the way it works. Like, even if he doesn't get off, he probably won't get what he deserves. Despite the lack of meaning and the inevitability of death, humanity still continues to fight. I think that's probably the greatest quality of humanity. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that, Doug. Because the way that we fight is to destroy the natural world in the name of our progress. Destroy wetlands, destroy jungles, destroy tide pools, destroy coastal areas, destroy the ocean, destroy the air, destroy the mountains, and destroy the prairies. We destroy it all. We rip everything out from under it in the name of our progress, in the name of our continued attempts to try and find meaning. And at what cost? At what cost to the way that we look at ourselves and experience our lives? At what cost to the natural world? I don't know if I can agree with that, homie. I don't think it's an admirable trait about humanity that we feel that we're more... Well, yeah, on an individual level, though, that drives the societal level. I mean, this false narrative that we've told ourselves that all of this is for us. That's the end result. It filters down to the individual and colors the individual's experience. It gives context to that individual's involvement in said stripping of resources, said destruction of habitat. It allows us to rationalize what's not able to be rationalized. It allows us to excuse the inexcusable. Because surely if all of this is for us, if all of us are centered, if the universe is centered around our sentience and our experience, then it is for us to do with what we please, right? We take. It's a sticky issue. Fundamentally human issue, but a sticky one nonetheless. I don't know, Doug. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that I have a philosophical disagreement with your statement. Paul, do you consider yourself a modern transcendentalist like Ralph Waldo Emerson was in the 19th century, or more of just a general humanist that humanity needs to better itself? I don't know. I don't mean to yank something from TJ, because I watched one of his recent videos, but I do try my best to stay away from the ists and the isms, because I don't like the box that they create, and I often find myself in disagreement with people who align themselves under the ists and the isms. And so typically I allow other people to append whatever ist or ism to me that they feel is appropriate. I don't really consider myself any kind of transcendentalist or metaphysicalist or anarcho-primitivist. I don't consider myself any of those things. Humanity, as it is now, is contributing to many global issues, but was not always this way. Is the problems of the modern world an inherent result of human nature? The problems of the modern world almost exclusively can be traced back to mass agriculture. So I'm a Jensenist when it comes to the problems of the modern world, and Derek Jensen describes the modern world's problems as being typified by the creation of cities. He defines cities as conglomerations of people large enough to require the importation of resources. So what that means is that people are conglomerating in numbers large enough that they have denuded the natural landscape of the things that they need to survive and require those things to be imported into those cities. When you have that as a paradigm, war is the only outcome. Because if you rely on trade, you rely on the importation of resources, what happens if the place that you need those resources for goes, no, you can't have them anymore. You have to go take it. You have to go take it, otherwise your city collapses. You have to take. So I think that the problems of humanity are traceable back to mass agriculture. Is there something about humanity that made agriculture and civilization inevitable? Possibly. I mean, it might be that our consciousness and our ability to suss out the way that things work in the world eventually was destined to work against us. I mean, I believe we live in a deterministic universe, and so that very much is the case. It doesn't change the critique, though. The fact that we really had no choice in the matter doesn't change the critique. It's just true. Mass agriculture began the era of human beings not subscribing to the same law that every other living creature on the planet subscribes to, which is the law of limited competition. My ideal apocalyptic collapse of civilization. Why would I have an ideal for that? There is no ideal for the collapse of civilization. That's kind of the point. It's the death of ideal. The death of ideals in general is the collapse of civilization. So what is your prescription to all this? More cowbell. Ding, 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 ding. There really is no prescription. See, people come to me when I talk about this and they go, oh yeah, what is your solution? And that, of course, is filled with the hubris and assumption that there is a solution. There is no solution. We have set in motion our own death. We have done so much damage to this planet that it will be uninhabitable eventually. We have set in motion our own death. We are living in the midst of the 6th mass extinction event on the planet, and that's the way it goes. There's no magic machine. There's no Paris Climate Accord we can sign. There's no amount of trillions of dollars we can throw at this problem. We could all become perfect little bright green fucking zero carbon footprint countries, and we're still all dead. Look. Look around you. Pay attention to what climate scientists are saying about the health of the ocean. And then realize that the health of the ocean is the health of the planet. From the ocean sprang forth all life, and from the ocean springs forth the continuation of all life. It is absolutely necessary to life as it exists on this planet. Something like 60 to 70% of the oxygen that we breathe on this planet comes from phytoplankton in the ocean. Phytoplankton in the ocean that is dying at a massive rate because the ocean is acidifying. What's the answer to this? People come to me and they want political answers. Oh yeah? Well, what's your fucking plan? I don't have one, bro. There isn't one. My plan is to try and talk to enough people about this and hopefully spread awareness that it's happening. Because right now everybody's acting like this isn't happening. Paul, do you think the destruction of the environment was inevitable given humanity's inherent animalistic nature, or did humanity cognitively decide to exploit Mother Earth's natural resources? I mean, the first person that laid down a mass agriculture farm did so with the full knowledge of what that person was doing. They did not do so with the full knowledge of the repercussions of what they were doing. I don't think that the first human being that laid down the first mass production farm thought this is going to take over the world and end it someday. They didn't think that far ahead. They didn't play the game to the end. They didn't follow the chess game throughout all 122 moves or whatever it was. They just thought about the here and now, and who can blame them? Think about the scarcity that existed for human beings, and think about how tenuous it is for wild animals living. Nothing is guaranteed to you. You know, deer might have a population explosion and eat themselves out of house and home and starve en masse. It happens. You know, a pride of lions might just have absolutely no luck catching game for weeks on end and might starve and suffer because of that. The insecurity of food. Think about that. Think about that through the eyes of a being that is conscious of its own finite nature. Of course. Of course, we're going to look for ways to bring the food to us. Of course, we're going to use that giant, big, beautiful predator brain that we developed to find ways to bring the food to us. But here's the end result. We're living in the end result of it. A poisoned planet, a poisoned ocean, an ocean in which 90% of large ocean fish are gone. An ocean that is destroying itself, eating itself. The Great Barrier Reef turning bone white. And I'm sorry. I really am sorry that people come to me and hear me talk these things and then really want the comfort and stability of, here's the way out. I don't believe there is a way out. I don't believe there is a way out. Not for this iteration of human civilization. Now, maybe we survive the coming collapse, and maybe those very few of us that are left scattered about the globe slowly but surely repopulate it and learn the lessons of the past. Maybe Derek Jensen is right when he says that the primary metric by which our generation will be judged is the health of the land base. If that is true, then the people that come after us won't give a fuck about anything else. They will care only about what our society did to the world. That's a possibility. But that means that this doesn't rise up again. That means that civilization like this doesn't happen again. This is kind of an Ann Prim take. This is just a take on what's going on in the world. Like, at what point have I stated something untrue? At what point have I gone down the realm of fantasy? Do you think environmental exploitation was necessary to keep humanity thriving, or was it preventable? Do I think that it needed to happen? No. I mean, there are American Indian tribes that existed on the North American continent for something like 16,000 years in homeostasis with their environment. They never outgrew and outstripped their environment. They never destroyed their environment. They never hyper-exploited their environment. They never built permanent settlements. They never, you know what I mean? And they existed for 16,000 years in harmony with that. So this idea that it had to happen, I don't buy that. It did. What do you mean deserve to still be here? That implies that there's some kind of cosmic karma that's handing out gifts for people that do things the right way and people that do things the wrong way. What do you mean we deserve to be here? We're here. Looking at the hopelessness of everything, I think it's the most important thing, though cliche it may be, is to be kind to each other. We're all in this horrible train wreck together. Unfortunately so. Since we developed this kind of logic, isn't it inevitable that with crazy climate shifts, we could eventually develop agriculture to stay alive? I mean, it's going to be part of the way that we are going to, quote unquote, attempt to survive is by hyper exploiting what's left. So you see an exponential rise in the exploitation of the natural world over time. The more human beings there are, the more cities there are. The more cities there are, the more places demanding the importation of resources there are, which means we have to denude ever more of the natural world in order to support those places. And so that will continue, that will ramp up as scarcity comes into people's lives that have never experienced it before. This pandemic gave some people a little taste of scarcity, and look at how people went fucking apeshit. You remember people buying trailers so they could hoard fucking toilet paper like there was never going to be toilet paper on the planet again? Well, imagine that, but there's never actually going to be toilet paper on the planet again. Okay? Human beings are going to absolutely rape what's left of this planet and leave it a husk. And what comes after is up to generations far removed from us. If we survive it, there's a good chance we don't. There's a good chance as a species we fundamentally die out. There's not enough of us. There's not enough genetic diversity for us to repeople the earth. And slowly but surely, generation to generation, we get smaller and smaller and smaller until we just peter out on a dead desert planet. Our distant ape cousins will die before we do. So you don't understand. Right now, our distant ape cousins, this idea that like, oh, we're going to leave behind some animal that's going to take our place. Like, yeah, the humans die off, but then the chimps rise. It's like, no, the chimps are going to go first. We're destroying the gorilla's environment right now. We are destroying the chimp's environment. It's the plaque that's on the wall behind Ishmael. When humanity is gone, will there be a chance for gorilla? We're taking it all with us. We're going down and we're taking it all with us. We're dragging it all with us. Everything is interconnected. We can't destroy one ecosystem without destroying another in an unbroken chain that ends in destruction of everything. Bacteria, monocellular plant life, amoebas, jellyfish. These are the animals that will do well in the coming environment. They live in acidic ocean. Everything else, dunzo. I think with science, there's always a solution, even if we have to leave the planet to implement it. We're never leaving this planet, bro. You're never going on a space voyage. You're never jumping on the Enterprise and warp driving between habitable worlds. That's never happening. This is a fantasy we tell ourselves. And this is what grown-ups tell ourselves too. We tell ourselves that like, oh, you know, all these problems and stuff generationally, like eventually we'll get a spaceship and we'll just go like once this planet is completely uninhabitable. I mean, look at all the games that come out. I'm playing one right now that's about that. Outriders. The plot of the game, as I understand it, is that humanity completely ruined the world, created this spaceship to put a bunch of people in cryosleep, and jettison across the universe looking for a habitable world. And, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years go by, and the planet Earth is dead, and you find this new planet, and humanity just does it again on the new planet. Like, look at the story that I'm telling you here is already there in your media. It's like we know this. Like we're not going anywhere. We don't have any chance of escaping this fucking planet. The resources on this planet are too finite. The climate is too fucking tenuous as it stands. We're on the verge of collapse. We're not on the verge of some scientific magic machine breakthrough that's going to simultaneously solve, you know, the fucking breaking the speed of light barrier problem and clean up the earth and bring back all the species and habitats that we've destroyed. It's just not going to happen. This science has always got an answer thing is fucking ridiculous. Who the fuck you? The guy that just banned your ass. That's who the fuck I am. Bitch. Where the hell would we go? Mars? Would it not be easier to fix Earth? Earth is our best shot, and it's not looking optimistic. Mars isn't even a shot for us. All of this fucking, like, fantasy about colonizing Mars and shit. Do you have any idea how many fucking thousands upon tens of thousands of years it would take humanity to terraform Mars? Do you have any idea how unsustainable the idea of giant numbers of humanity living under a dome on Mars is? It's fucking science fantasy. We don't have the time. If we had marshaled our fucking resources here on this planet, if we had treated it like the finite resource that it is, we might have the natural resources to escape this planet, but we didn't do it. We didn't go that route. And now we're fucked. I think the idea that a lot of people peddle that there are political solutions to unsolvable problems is one of the big reasons why you can't have a conversation like this with people without them getting mad. It's like people need that redemption arc. They need life and the existence of human beings on this planet to end like some kind of a movie where some scientist comes along and saves us all. Or we all realize the folly of our ways and we turn around and there's this huge shift and we all just fix everything. We need there to be a redemption arc for humanity. And there isn't one. Look at what happens. As we've become more and more aware of the damage we're doing to the planet, we've only accelerated that damage. There's only more of us. The resources are even more finite. The precarious geopolitical positioning of proxy wars going on between major superpowers becomes even more fucking scary. We inch closer and closer to global annihilation of ourselves via war. So there is a great need in people to hear somebody stand on the podium and tell them, this is the way that we fix this. And that need in people and the satisfaction of that need in people by certain talking heads is one of the reasons why we're all fucked. Because people love a justification. People do not love facing the truth that humanity is on a motorcycle speeding at full speed flat out on the salt flats towards a brick wall. Because when they hear that, when they hear there isn't a solution, it fills them with trepidation and fear. And they need that fear to be assuaged by people with a narrative to tell them about humanity's ultimate redemption arc. Meanwhile, the planet around us continues to die. Meanwhile, politics become ever and more divided. Meanwhile, scarcity becomes real. Meanwhile, the exploitation of the third world continues unabated. And here we are. It's like you've got like stage 4 cancer that's metastasized to multiple parts of your body. And you've gone to the best cancer doctors in the world, and they've all looked you over and said, you know, there's really nothing we can do. And you look back and go, yeah, well, what's the plan? This is oftentimes what people do because they can't buy the fact that they're fucked. What's the plan? What's the treatment plan? And sometimes the answer is, there isn't one. The treatment plan is for you to go home and live out the last few weeks or months of your life in relative comfort, if that's what you want to do. You're dead.
I'll go back in.
So I see it as one of my primary operating actions to not instill false hope in people when it comes to this topic, but to rather be on the other side of that argument. I want to be a voice for the coming collapse, a voice of warning of what's coming, not a voice of false narrative that we're going to fix this or that slowly but surely we're going to fix that. I can't tell you how long we have. What I can tell you is some of the things that are looming on the horizon, okay? One of the things that's looming on the horizon is the uninhabitability of the equatorial belt of the Earth. The heat index and humidity index is about to be such that human beings cannot survive outside in that part of the world. There's something like 2 billion people that live on the equatorial belt. That is going to set off a mass migration of people, the likes of which the world has never seen. Literally. A lot of people say that, the likes of which the world has never seen. I literally mean it. This will set off a mass migration of human beings, the likes of which the world has never seen. And we are no way prepared as a society to support 2 billion people moving out of the equatorial belt. We are in no way prepared as a society to lose the production capacity of the equatorial belt. So not only can people not live there, people can't work there, people can't exploit there, people can't mine there, people can't fucking log there, people can't grow food there. Meanwhile, with all of this going on, there will be another migration of people happening within countries. And that is migration away from the coastal areas and towards more inhabitable areas north and south. What comes with that, thank you, John, is war. War, war, war. War for resources, war to stop the migration, war to handle the migration, war over the dwindling resource patches that are left on the planet. War, 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 war. And that's in the next 50 years. That's one of the looming possibilities in the next 50 years. Nuclear wars, it might be tomorrow. China and India have been saber rattling for fucking like 3 years now in a way that's really scary. Go look into it. These are both nuclear armed nations. India already has a history of threatening nuclear fucking strikes on Pakistan, another nuclear armed nation. This is all fucking today. This could go down right now as I'm fucking talking.
They're the ones that have had the most recent nuclear tests.
Yep. People think this is all so far away that we've got all this fucking time to figure it out. And we've been playing kick the can. Every generation kicks the can to the next one. I was apologizing to the generation that came after me last night. My generation kicked the can to the Zoomers. The Zoomers, if they're anything like any other generation, they'll kick the can too. At this point, the can's already been kicked beyond what we can fucking retrieve it. So even if the Zoomers do finally reach down and pick up the can, too late, too little, too late.
About our big old Middle East conundrum, they're going to be out of water and just an unbearable heat.
Look at how much we rely on the equatorial belt countries for fucking oil. The most oil-rich zone on the planet is the equatorial belt. It's where all of that vegetative plant life and organic matter, was fucking cooked up underground into this fucking finite resource that the world literally needs. Think about us not being able to access that anymore. We're in trouble. We're in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah, the coasts. Like, how many millions of people live on the coasts?
Most of humanity.
It's always been fertile ground for big cities and all that shit.
Most of humanity lives within 100 miles of a coastline. That's just the truth. Those people are going to experience a mass migration of people within their borders, unlike anything that's ever been seen. Climate refugees from within, climate refugees from without. Do you think we are look at the border crisis that we have going on now, where we're stuffing babies into cages for indeterminate amount of times? Do you think we're in any way prepared for 2 billion people to migrate off the equatorial belt? I'll wait.
Or even just within our own country, it's like there's possibilities that, you know, like the interstates are going to be hostile, or they just don't have the infrastructure for the amount of people that are in LA and shit.
It's already that.
Yeah.
LA is already a non-functioning fucking traffic nightmare.
Yeah. And
it's
try
growing.
Moving them into like the Dakotas or something.
Right. Think about all of Los Angeles suddenly moving to the Central Valley of California. Think about all of Louisiana suddenly fleeing Louisiana into the states that border it, into Texas, into fucking Missouri and Mississippi. Think of all of Florida fleeing inland, and think of the lack of infrastructure in those places, and the cost and the loss of business and the loss of fucking revenue that will come when those cities are fucking uninhabitable. Think about this shit. This is not a fantasy. This is not some fucking movie plot. This is what's happening right now. As we speak, this is happening.
And the only way all those people are going to fit is if the term of how we look at cities now has changed. We can't have a million LAs.
We're going to need that overspending on military, Jawan. Why do you think we overspend on military? Because the powers that be have seen this coming forever. See, this that I'm talking to you about, I think a lot of people assume that the people that are in power don't know about it or care about it. They do. They've been preparing for it. That's what our military spending is about. American military spending hegemony is about the coming resource wars. It's about being able to go and take. Period.
And defend.
Defend the things that we take.
Yeah.
We have bases all over the world for that reason, yes. Yes, yes, yes. What if the resources are destroyed? They will be. That's the point of a resource, is to use it. This is why China is investing heavily in African infrastructure, yes. This is why Russia is saber-rattling against its fucking Eastern European neighbor states. This is about geopolitical positioning for the coming collapse.
That's why you talk about community action being a place to start. It's like if you can make your community sustainable, it's at least a fighting chance.
It's a step in the right direction towards surviving what's coming. I don't know that it saves anybody, but it's some direct action that you can do to make some fucking headway on this issue, because there's really nothing else you can do. The climate end of this is happening no matter what kind of direct action you take. And the reaction to the coming climate collapse is completely and utterly out of your control as an individual citizen. These events were set in motion before you were born, have been planned for before you were born, and will play out no matter what you do. That's it. COVID and the crazy mass hoarding that went on at the beginning of it only proves my point. What did humanity do when we all faced a common crisis? What did we do? Did we donate to one another? Did we reach out to our neighbors? Did we share and share alike? Did we take just what we needed to get by on so that everybody had enough? No, we stripped the fucking shelves of necessities. Stripped them.
That's what happens with every hurricane, too.
Yep.
Always get mine first.
Yep. Strip the shelves.
Storms, like, those are just short-term, like, things.
It's right on the fucking surface. This angst and acrimony of person against person. We're like a pressure cooker. Human beings in this world have been placed in this pressure cooker of insane, infinite growth expectation that can't be fucking maintained. We're driven insane by the narratives given to us by our leaders, by the constant inaction and the constant fucking degradation of our leaders. And we're left at a point where we're all grinning, but as soon as the shit goes down, you're either coming for mine or I'm coming for yours, and one of us is going to get it. Right under the surface, just under this very thin veneer of social politeness, is rage, anger, self-serving destruction. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome.
When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. Yeah, the Joker was right. Not exactly the first one to make that observation, but yes. Let's hope we don't literally eat each other in the future. I hate to tell you this. I hate to tell you this, buddy.
People don't even understand, like, how much commerce is required just to, like, fill grocery stores. Like, the sheer amount of, like, thousands of people involved in that.
The supply chain.
Yeah.
I was watching that Derek Jensen video the other day where he talked about the Suez Canal as a fulcrum. And says he thinks a lot about fulcrums when it comes to the eventual collapse of industrial society. And he talked about how this one ship captain whose fucking motivations are still unknown. It looks like he drew a dick before he went into the Suez Canal and locked that boat up. Now, does that mean he was drunk? Derek Jensen says, was that a political statement? Did he do this on purpose? But that shows you the inherent weakness of capitalism, that one waterway can be blocked and something like 13, 14, 16% of global commerce is halted as a result of it. So capitalism, global crony vulture capitalism is filled with these types of fulcrums. And when those things fall, think about if some terrorist cell or something bombed the Suez, like set off a bomb that destroyed the canal and made it impassable for a few months.
Or the Panama Canal.
Or the Panama Canal, right? Think about all of these global trade routes that are responsible for stocking all the shelves in all of these first world nations and making sure that when you walk into a grocery store, there's enough fucking food for an army of goddamn fucking people, and you can just select from 18 different brands of cream of wheat.
And then,
Like, what do you think that comes from?
like talking about the water too, like how much comes through ports? Like, what do you do when like the infrastructure for ports is underwater?
Right. You have to move them. You have to move them inland. Places that were once ports are now underwater. You have to destroy what's underneath the water so ships don't run aground on it and create new ports. This is functionally impossible.
And there's like a shit ton of stuff like right next to the ports. You'd have to demolish buildings to make
That's-
new ports.
That's what I'm saying. The shit that's underwater will have to be fucking terraformed out. You'll have to remove all that fucking
But you also
obstruction.
have to terraform all the buildings that are currently behind the ports.
Right. You're gonna have to tear down all those fucking buildings. You're gonna have to push the
Homes.
ports in, homes, businesses, all that shit will have to be relocated inland. And then what?
Do it again?
You build new ports and then do it again in 20 years? When those ports go underwater, it's unsustainable, guys. Hate to bring up a taboo subject, but will suicide rates increase as things get worse or the collapse becomes more obvious? I imagine they will, yeah. I mean, the so-called deaths of despair have been steadily climbing worldwide for, I don't know, 20, 30 years now. Suicides are, of course, included in deaths of despair. And so, as humanity continues to exist in this fucking headlocked dream that things are slowly, incrementally getting better, people are getting more and more desperate because the writing is on the wall. Here's a scary thing. I feel like homicide rates in that world might actually increase at least close to the amount of suicide rates, if not more. I mean, what do you think the end result, like, okay, let's take a look at the COVID hoarding again, okay? Let's say that happened. Let's say that the COVID hoarding happened, right? And then, instead of the shelves getting restocked within a couple of weeks, which is what happened, we had like this 2-week, 1 month long, hey, some things are scarce and people had to live without TP and people had to live without this, that, and the other thing. And then after about a month, things were right back to fucking normal. The grocery stores looked like they always have looked. Let's say that didn't happen. What's the next step? What's the next step when the Walmart is looted completely dry and there's not a fucking scrap of food or water in it? Do you think the next step is kumbaya? Everybody gets together and pools their resources collectively and shares with everybody?
Like, you gotta start planting your own food before it runs out, because it has to grow first.
Even if you plant your own food, like, you better defend it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think I'm talking about when I say right under the fucking surface of humanity is this deep well of angst and hatred just waiting to come out? Fuck you, got mine. That's the capitalistic fucking mantra. And that's the mindset of the world right now. You know, if I can go from being lower class to middle class and I have to fucking step over the bodies of 20,000 people to do it, I'm going to do it. Yippee skippy. Fuck you, got mine. Fuck you, got mine. Fuck you, got mine. There's about to be none to be got. What do you think's going to happen? Speaking of deaths of despair, why are suicide, alcoholism, drug addiction not framed as a male issue? They plague men 4 to 1. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that the framing of the drug addiction problem is the issue with it. The fact that it affects predominantly men doesn't change the fact that it affects everybody. Men are one half of the household. Men are one half of the world.
Yeah. I mean, definitely there could be more resources for men, like in terms of shelters and stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But when it comes to drug and alcoholism and drug abuse, the answer is just treatment facilities. The answer is treating it like a medical condition and not like a vice. And alcoholism, by the way, is not just a men's issue, even if it predominantly affects men 4-1. I don't know if those numbers are true, but let's say that they are. Men raise women. It's a women's issue as well, because the fruits of alcoholism are abuse, neglect, and men and women go through those in equal measure as a result of alcoholism and drug abuse. So,
And children.
that's what I'm talking about, children.
Yeah.
Children suffer under alcoholics. They are abused under alcoholics. They are neglected under alcoholics, and that has no fucking accounting for gender. So I don't think gendering the issue is the way to go. I think recognizing it as a multi-tiered, multifaceted societal issue and trying to treat those people medically and giving them the resources, destigmifying, alcoholism and drug abuse, and realizing that there are people with genetic propensities for such, and they need treatment, not being locked up, not being ostracized and judged. There's only two sexes. You're confusing sex and gender. Most stupid people do. Sex is the biology, what kind of equipment you have. Gender is what you feel like you are.
And even with biology, there's like a spectrum
There's a middle
of
ground,
gray.
right.
Yeah. There's more than just XX and XY.
There's intersex. Yeah. I love overly simplistic takes. There are two gender. I don't like think. Think make brain hurt. Duh. I blew away a college professor once. I was in a this was the last time I went back to school. I was in a history class, and I was the boomer in the class. I was sitting in there with a bunch of fucking teenagers, and this history teacher was an SJW-ish teacher. Started his talk with, I'm willing to bet nobody in this class actually knows the difference between sex and gender. He was talking about the third gender that some American Indian tribes had.
Yeah.
I bet nobody in this class has any idea the difference between sex and gender. And my hand went up, and he was like, oh, really? You want to take a crack at it? And I just told him exactly what I told you guys. I said, sex is your biological equipment, like what kind of bits you've got between your legs, and gender is the way that you express yourself in society and what you feel you are. He was like, whoa, all right.
You probably just didn't look the part because you were like
old.
a 30-year-old
Right.
man that was, like you were more clean cut back then.
Yeah. I was sitting there in a polo shirt looking old as fuck, Of course, I'm not going to be the one that answers that question.
You thought you were going to be like, raise your head like, they're the same.
Yeah. The reason that those issues are more common in men is because the conditions in which those issues manifest are more common in men. Doesn't mean you have to focus on men, but rather those conditions, right? Men are not the only victims of those conditions. The families of those men are victims of those conditions as well. That's why it's not a gendered issue. Did you give a physical demonstration? Yeah, I stood up on my desk and I said, "Look, I have a penis and testicles." Yeah. It was crazy. And then everybody in the class got up and clapped. They clapped their hands raw. Oh, Captain, my captain. Did you get head? Oh, yeah, dude. Everybody in the class lined up and gave me sloppy toppy.
Yep, men and women.
Men and women. The whole fucking class ran a sloppy toppy train on me. I can't remember how many nuts I busted. It was crazy. Crazy, dude. It was crazy. Crazy. Then the president called me and was like, "I'd like to give you sloppy toppy too." And I was like, "Come on down, president. Come on down." Blah, 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 blah. It was crazy. The professor, yeah, oh yeah, he was in line. From a classroom.
It's college.
I was in college, you dumb fuck. Oh my God. What do you think? I was 31 years old sitting in a high school class? Oh, Jesus Christ. What a dumb motherfucker, dude. I was Billy Madison, yeah. Shampoo is better. Yeah, I was sitting in a kindergarten class. Does anybody know the difference between sex and gender? Yes, little Polly. What a dumb fuck. The overrepresentation of men among alcoholics is related to discrimination against men in education or access to mental health resources. Do you think the gendering issue may be helpful? I think no. Look, this bothers me. This idea that people aren't willing to look at the sum total of the problems that stem from drug abuse and alcoholism. They may affect men more than they affect women directly. But the indirect effects of those things are what really need to be treated. Not just the alcoholic. The alcoholic has to be given resources, but everybody suffers in an alcoholic household. Source was in one. Source was raised in one. All my sisters were raised in one too. Is it still a men's issue?
It's like it's not even really depicted as not being a men's issue, like in media and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you go watch the fucking the PBS Prohibition documentary, and the first part of that is all about how the saloon was a predominantly male vice, and men would go out at night, get drunk, come home, beat up their wives and children, and that became the cycle of fucking existence in this country as a result of untreated and unfettered alcoholism. It wasn't a men's issue. Those men brought that issue home and exported it to their children and their wives. It is an everybody issue.
There was an intersection between prohibition and feminism.
Right. A huge one. Like, prohibition started as a feminist movement. It started with feminist icons. Who was that woman that would go into bars and smash them up?
I can't remember.
She was great. She was just like, she used this, because like at this time, women didn't have much social privilege, but they did have one. They were sacrosanct. You didn't put your hands on a woman. You didn't physically restrain a woman, right? And so this old lady was like, I'm going to take advantage of that social benefit that I have as a woman, and I'm going to walk into saloons with a fucking hammer and start breaking their fucking saloon up. And dudes were like, whoa, ladies, stop, please, stop. And the cops would come and go like, stop, stop. And sometimes they would arrest her, but she'd be out on bail the next day. And she'd literally, there were times where she'd go to jail, bail herself out, and then be in a saloon like 2 hours later, busting another one up across town. You know what I mean? There was a huge, huge feminist component to Prohibition. And Prohibition, failure though it was huge in bringing forth the actual fucking problem to the fore. Getting people in the government and in the Vox Populi to start talking about alcohol as a problem and not just a normal thing.
Yeah, it's like the foundations for AA were started there.
Yep, the Washingtonians were started before Prohibition as a non-religious entity, by the way, so probably way better than AA.
Yeah.
Because they don't force feed you this religious shit. But a lot of the programs that AA runs in terms of having sponsors, having in-person meetings, having these kind of pseudo-confessional things where you talk about the things that you did when you were a drug addict, talk about how long you were clean. These were all established by the Washingtonians way before Prohibition, way back in the day. Carrie Nation. Yeah, there you go. That was her name. You're right, Carrie Nation. The saloon destroyer. I remember there's a quote from her, some news person asked, like, when are you going to stop, Carrie? And she was like, when every saloon in America lies in rubble and no one can get a drink, or something like that. She was just going to bulldoze every goddamn saloon. I love her. I love people like that, man. These fucking driven, singular-minded goddamn people. I'm so all over the goddamn place. I wish I had that fucking focus sometimes. But she started a small movement of women that did the same thing. They started doing sit-ins out in front of saloons, blocking the doorways to saloons.
Yeah.
Because once again, like, how are you going to get in if you can't, like, put your hands on a lady? You know what I mean? There's got ladies sitting down in front of the doorway of the saloon and praying, and the cops coming and arresting them, and then another group comes in and sits in their place.
I mean, like, that might have been misdirected, but at that same time, that same strategy was used to start the FDA. So it's not like you
was
can't,
also-
just write off the whole feminist movement of that era because of Prohibition. They were also
It started
Yeah.
the suffragette movement.
Yeah.
Women coming together to fight the saloons was what sparked the idea that women were a political force in this country, and it led directly to suffrage.
Well, and then also like the FDA thing I was talking about.
Right.
Was like,
The establishment of the Food and Drug Administration came out of Prohibition, or the movement for Prohibition. The demand for safer food was led in large part by women. The women back in the days of Prohibition had a saying, lips that touch alcohol will never touch my lips. Yep. You ain't getting no kisses, motherfucker. You're gonna be a drinker, you're gonna be a drunkard, you ain't never kissing my lips. Good luck, Jareth. Severe thunderstorm, tornado warning. Man, I don't miss that shit. I don't get no more warnings where I live, man.
I mean, we just might get different warnings.
Yeah, we're gonna get like bad air quality warnings and unhealthy heat warnings during the summer. Faux show. Any hope for Mortal Kombat, the movie coming up? Yeah, dude, I think it looks kind of dope, honestly.
Is that also going to be the HBO thing?
I think so, yeah. HBO Max is bringing out the Mortal Kombat movie, and it looks pretty dope. It looks like they're actually going to go super gory with it, which is something that needed to happen from the jump. So that's all you really want with a Mortal Kombat movie is a bunch of badass dudes killing each other. You know what I mean? If they do that, it'll be a decent flick. Anyone who still guesses where Paul lives is dense. I kind of agree. I kind of agree with you on that. I get warnings, but they're usually false, so I'm more inclined to ignore them. I'll be glad when I move out of tornado country. I intentionally moved to a mountaintop to avoid most of it, but it's getting ridiculous. Yeah. I've not watched an episode of Family Guy in probably I don't know, since 2015 or 16. Looks like HBO is coming back after Game of Thrones. Seems like they had nothing to offer there for a while. It's going to be interesting. I have the HBO package or whatever the fuck. And they've got a lot of good movies on there. And their series are really great. HBO is great at... we try to watch the Q docuseries. They don't always hit.
Well, I think part of it, too, is it was kind of like holding your hand because it's meant for everyone. So it's this
Right.
is what LARP is. This is what a normie is.
I mean, maybe if we continue with it and watch, maybe eventually the first episode is overly explanatory.
Yeah.
It needed, it was basically establishing all the terms. Maybe if we stick with it, because it's a 6-parter, so maybe it gets better. But yeah, I was really starting to get tired of that. So they don't always hit it out of the park. But HBO is really good at creating these kind of TV shows and docuseries that are really worth watching and interesting, heavily, heavy production value kind of things. I love, like we were talking about it the other day, I love the way that True Detective is shot. You know what I mean? I love the pre-drone era of True Detective and that practical camera work and the way that they turn a state that is just... how did they shoot in Louisiana and keep their lenses from fogging up?
I know, dude.
How did they do it? But I love the aesthetic of that show. I just love the way that it's shot. I love the way that it portrays Louisiana as this dirty, seedy, vibrant, interesting place. I love the nobility that it bestows on its characters. They go to meet Marie Fontenot's grandfather, and I love that little interaction because he reminds you of Rust as well, and then and then Marty says it kind of reminded me of Rust because it's just Rust if Rust had walked a different path in life. They had similar outlooks on life, but just different ways of expressing it. It ennobles a lot of its characters, and I like that. Even the sex in it is real feeling. I mean, yeah, it's better than some sex scenes in movies are. What kind of shoes you wear, cuz? Why you care? Why you care what kind of kicks I wear? One Yeezy, one Jordan. Damn, that would be pretty fresh. Did you see the HBO Max original show Raised by Wolves? I did not. Paul wears the shoes that'll be planted up your ass. Yeah. I have a pair of Airwalks. I have a pair of Chucks. And I've got a pair of Timberlands. Those are my 3 pairs of shoes. He likes the thud you make when you walk. That's why he cares about your shoes, yeah. Sketcher with a Heeley. A single Heeley, though? Damn.
Never light up things as shoes when you were a kid or not?
I'm trying to remember. No. I think those came out when I was a teenager and nobody was going to get light up shoes. The thing that was cool when I was a kid was we had pumps.
Yeah.
Dude, Nike pumps. I had a pair of Nike pumps. They had, on the tongue, they had this basketball that you would go, you could pump it and you could feel your shoe getting a little tighter. It would inflate
It'd make the tongue
the air sac. It made the tongue fatter and it pumped air into the sole of the shoe
Yeah.
too, so it like made your shoe a little fit a little better, dude. The pumps, and then when you were done playing, you had a little button next to that. You'd hit it and it would go. Nice hiss.
Damn.
Those were dope, dude. They didn't stick around though.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not my favorite trend.
Dude, dude, if I could get a pair of pumps right now, I'd wear those pumps everywhere. Made you feel, dude, you could dunk like Jordan in a pair of pumps. My fat little ass put my pumps on it, I would be like, ugh. You know, I couldn't even touch the rim, and then I'd just go like, hold on, guys, wait. That's the way it works. They had to ban pumps because everybody could play basketball like Jordan.
Yep.
And they were like, basketball will die. So they had to ban pumps. You can't even find pumps no more. They had them all destroyed after the War of 1988. Yep. Backboard breaks. Nice hiss. Yeah, dude, the NBA would have had to shut down. Little fucking 12-year-olds like me would have been crossing up Kevin Garnett and fucking dunking on fucking Dikembe Mutombo and shit. Just can't let it happen. Would look like NBA Jam out there, dude. A lot of people don't know this. NBA Jam was motion capped by a bunch of kids wearing pumps. They just got a bunch of kids to put some pumps on and pump them up, and they filmed all the flips and stuff. Just like Mortal Kombat was filmed with real actors, the same thing with NBA Jam, dude. People don't know that. People don't know that. He's heating up. He's on fire. Boom shakalaka. That game was so fucking dope. Yep, all wire fu scenes are done by actors in pumps. This is a little known fact too. There's no wires in wire fu, it's pump fu. Like they're like, okay, what I need you to do is take this Chinese dragon sword, right? And I want you to leap and tiptoe across the tops of the trees, do a full triple flip, and then land very gracefully. And the actor's like, triple flip? Yeah, triple. Okay, hold up. That's gonna be like 6 pumps a piece.
Into those pumps. Reebok did a spicy ad.
Yeah.
They had like someone wearing Reebok pumps and bungee jumping, someone wearing Nike pumps and bungee jumping, and like the Reebok guy was fine. The Nike dude was just gone. Like,
damn.
He died.
Called out.
He didn't fucking have the right pumps.
He didn't have the right pumps, dude. I loved letting it out too. That was the ultimate flex. You cross up your friend, get a good layup, and then you just bend down and let a little air out. Sorry, I gotta adjust my pumps. Yeah, that's right. Let's go. The hiss heard round the world, dude. Some dude fucking crosses you up, breaks your ankles, gets a nice fucking smooth layup on you, and then you hear that hiss from behind you. It's like, fuck. Damn it. Pumps, dude. Pumps and a bump. Pumps and a bump. Find the release on my butt and I'll lose weight. I wanted Air Force Ones when that song came out. Of course you did. Of course you did. Has anyone ever tried making croissants? Shut up. LA Lights were also pretty dope. I had British Knights. British Knights BK. Dude, those shoes were pretty dope back in the day. They made some pretty kick-ass sneakers, British Knights. I had some British Knights growing up. I had some Nikes growing up. I had a pair of pumps. I've had some decent shoes. All as a kid, though. As an adult, I've never had an expensive, cool pair of fucking Nikes. Maybe I need to get some. Maybe not expensive necessarily, but some like real cool, custom, like blue Nikes.
I think, yeah. Did you have those and then they were just too beat up?
What?
Blue Nikes that were just too beat?
I had, I'm trying to remember.
You had a different kind of blue shoe.
Yeah. I had a pair of shoes that I'd had for a long fucking time that eventually I just had to throw away because they were falling apart on my feet. But remember when British Knights got banned from schools because they were calling them blood killers and supposedly people were attacked for wearing them? Yes. Everybody was scared because it got around that BK was being called blood killers in the streets and it was going to cause like Crips to come up and ride down on you if you wore British Knights. I do remember that stupid fucking thing now that you mention it. Oh my God, people are so dumb. Some little kid's riding his tricycle down the road and some Crips roll up in a big fucking 64 Impala. Oh, give me a break, dude. Kind of shoes are those, little kid? You're not wearing blood killers, are you? Brrr. Like, no, it wasn't happening.
Wouldn't it be the Bloods killing them and not the Crips?
I guess it would be the Bloods then. I guess the Crips would like ride up and go like, big up, little homie. Stay killing Bloods. Kid's like, what? I just ride my tricycle. Ring, ring, ring. Show you do.
Yeah, Joanne was talking about like sports apparel being gang affiliated too.
Oh yeah, that was a thing that was banned even back when I was in high school. They banned sports apparel before I got into high school because that shit actually was gang affiliated. Like where I grew up, the Raiders were commonly affiliated with Hispanic gangs, as well as the local college team, the Fresno Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are a blood gang. And so people, like, we actually had gang fights and shit between Latino gangs when I was in school. There was a big one that had the North Campus of Madera High shut down because a bunch of people went at it. I didn't travel in those circles, so you know what I mean? Yeah, Dodgers, Raiders, 49ers, etc. All banned. You couldn't wear sports apparel at my school. And there was probably good reason for that. Couldn't wear colored do-rags at my school. They actually banned hats completely at my school, which I thought was weird. Were you guys allowed to wear hats at school?
Yeah, they had the hat ban. They didn't ban sports gear at all, though. They actually encouraged it with like sports spirit days.
But like, well, yeah, like sports gear for your school, but
not for the school, just for like
for anything.
football teams and stuff.
Yeah. Interesting.
Maybe because it was blue based and there wasn't a red. And I guess there was
Blue
kind
and
of
red.
blue, yeah. So I don't know.
Who knows?
It just hadn't
Maybe you guys
taken hold or something.
Yeah,
up there.
you guys just didn't have any Bloods and Crips.
Yeah.
Or Norteños and Sureños, where I grew up. Do you have hair code? No. You could do whatever you wanted with your hair. I think there was a no unnatural colors code, but kids got around that by bleaching their hair blonde. Because that nobody could say that blonde was an unnatural color. But I don't think you were allowed to have like pink hair back in high school. You'd get sent home.
Yeah, now that I think about it, there was totally like the Eastern Washington College was all red and like Seahawks were all blue, so I don't know. I guess it just hadn't taken hold.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we weren't even allowed to wear hats outside. No hats on campus. The fucking Fat Richard, the security guard, would come and strip it off your head. I saw it happen. Like, people would try and, like, balk it by showing up to school in the morning wearing their fresh, hat. And Fat Richard, he was sneaky. Fat Richard was for all his flaws, Fat Richard was a sneaky fuck. Because I watched that motherfucker walk up behind so many kids and go, yoink, and the kid would go, hey, and turn around, and Fat Richard would go, you can pick this up in the office later on today. Oh, come on, Richard, I'll put it away. Nope, no hats. Be like, damn, Fat Richard, the fat ninja. He was a hat collector, man. He stripped them right off your head. Some kids would see him coming, you know what I mean? And they'd be like, oh, all right, Fat Richard, all right. They put it in their backpack. He said, if he comes out again, I'm taking it. Fat Richard was not there to play. Fat Richard busted my ass. Busted my ass smoking on campus. Fat Richard came to, dude, he was a true menace at my school. He was well known. He was a menace to society, man. He was the man. He was out there trying to catch you doing any kind of dirt. So you had to, you know what I mean? You had to be, like, I got around, you know what I had to do to get around Fat Richard? I had to sneak my friends that weren't juniors yet, because when you became a junior, you got a pass as long as you were passing all your classes and had good, whatever behavior or whatever. You got a pass that let you leave campus in your car at lunch. Well, I had a car at 16 that I bought with my money from my job when I worked all summer when I was 15. And so as soon as I was a junior, I got my pass. But I had friends that were like sophomores and freshmen, and I wanted them to come off campus too. So you know what I did? Figured out I could fit 2 of them in my trunk. That's how I had to get around Fat Richard. I would park in the back lot where Fat Richard wasn't, and then I would get 2 people up in the trunk, and then Fat Richard would look at me, and I'd show him my pass, and he'd wave me out. And then they would have to get back in the trunk to get back on campus.
That seems like a stressful lunch.
Hell no, it was worth it. You know what we did after they got out of the trunk? I would go up and around the corner out of view of Fat Richard, let him out of the trunk, and let him get in the goddamn car. And then we would drive to the park and get high.
Oh.
It was good times. We'd go to Taco Bell or McDonald's, depending on the day. Somebody would spring for some food to share with everybody, and then we would go park around the backside of the park and fucking smoke a fat joint in the car, spray on our Dracar Noir, and go back to school. I miss them days, man.
No, it's a bike.
I miss them good old days.
You know what the strictest dress code was? The college I went to. They
Really?
wanted everyone to be business, and you have to pay on Fridays to wear normal clothes.
Pay on Fridays?
To wear normal clothes.
That's fucking ridiculous, yo.
But they couldn't stop people smoking in the bathroom when the simplest solution is just put in a fucking smoke detector, you dumb fucks. I don't know why people were even smoking in the bathroom to begin with, but it's just put in a smoke detector.
Yeah, I've never, I don't know, dude. The dress code at my school was pretty fucking lax for dudes. It was a little more arcane for girls. Girls had a certain, there was like I don't know what it was exactly, but you couldn't show off your cleavage. If you had a shirt that was like woo and showing cleave, that was a no go.
They had like you had to have a 2-inch thick strap on like tank tops. You couldn't have spaghetti straps.
Yep, and your skirt had to come down to the tips of your fingers. If you put your arms at your sides, your skirt could be no shorter than the tips of your fingers. So girls had a lot more to contend with. No high heels. They weren't allowed to wear high heels and shit. Dudes just basically like no sports gear, and you couldn't sag your pants and show your underwear, which was stylish at the time. Like showing your ass was not stylish at the time, but like having your pants kind of down a little bit over your boxers and wearing baggy pants, that was like the way that dudes wanted to look back in the day.
Now we're talking about straps, not sleeves. So you had a 2-finger strap.
Yeah, for like a tank top type of thing. I don't know what all the rules were, but everybody had to abide. When I was in high school, boys couldn't have hair longer than their collar, and my friend hit international news about it because he made a video and had his mom cut his hair in front of the school. Yeah, I don't remember there being any issue with dudes having long hair in my school. It just wasn't like super popular when I was a kid for dudes to have long hair. Hey, Paul, just found your channel, came from Cinema for Cynics. Really love your movie reviews and miss Halloween. Are you still doing movie reviews? Just stay tuned, man. You'll be a happy camper soon. I have plans for Cinema for Cynics. Glad to have you over here as well. But yeah, don't lose that subscription. It'll be back if you liked it. Just give me some time. And thank you for your kind contribution. Yeah, just like in the 90s, it was not cool for dudes to have long hair. Like, the longest hair that a dude would have in the 90s was that Kurt Cobain length hair, which isn't really long hair all that much. Like, Kurt maybe had almost shoulder length hair at one point, but it was way more popular for dudes to have, like, shaved heads or the spiky thing where you'd have, like, your hair spiked up. That was way more like you would have it lay down flat and then you'd spike up the bangs a little bit. Hanson hair, yeah. Frosted tips, yes. Yes. The spikies, dude. Oh, I had it too. Everybody had it. Dude, that's what people don't realize. Like, being a 90s kid, you grew up in Flavortown, right? Now Flavortown is a place that you have to watch dives and diners and drive-ins or whatever the fuck with Guy Fieri to get a little taste of. But we all lived in Flavortown back in the day. You only get a little taste of it now. Hands up or hands down. Do you miss bowl cuts? No. No, I do not. I do not miss bowl cuts. Do you miss bowl cuts? Scotty don't. Everyone thought Dennis Rodman looked weird, and now he looks like your average SoundCloud rapper. Yeah, kind of true. Wow. Chat just went. It just broke down into nothing. Look at it go. Yeah. It just died. It just died like an old car. It was just like don't have anything to say about shoes and hair. That's fine. I'm kind of done talking about shoes, hair, and dress codes too. You can talk about whatever you want, bro. Congrats on New York getting legal weed. Yay. New York City's going to be so cool, all weedy up. Being all weeded. Being an even more weedy city than it already was prior to being legalized. Do 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 do. Yeah, dude, New York meetup for show. Can we talk about psychology? Sure, we can talk about psychology. What do you want to talk about, bro? Antarctica won't melt. No, Antarctica isn't a frozen block of solid ice. Antarctica is a land mass with glaciers. So glaciers around Antarctica will melt. The icebergs will melt. And Antarctic coastline at some point in Earth's future is going to be pretty idyllic. I mean, I don't know, dude. Telling me that it's a Ridley Scott show and then saying that it's a religious versus atheist show just makes me... It gives me, like, PTSD from Prometheus and Covenant. Like, I've got Prometheus and Covenant PTSD. So you saying that the show is a Ridley Scott show about religion versus atheism doesn't sell it to me, bro. It doesn't sell it to me. I mean, Crescent Slice, these are all very broad topics that I've talked about a lot. So I've talked a bunch about how everything is psychology, about how perception is reality, and about how understanding how we see the world informs how we act in the world, and how important it is to me to understand my own psychology, what an important thing it was for me to spend years of my life learning it. And, you know, all of these things I've talked about ad nauseum in here. Like, I can't just have the same talk over and over and over again. Now, if you have specific questions about those things, I'm happy to answer them. But